Hello everyone, and thank you for stopping by. So in this video, I'm going to be showing the build that I use for Boris in the game Predecessor. So the build that I'm going to go over is a jungle build, but there is an option that you can play him in the off lane, but just note that in the off lane, he's not nearly as good as he is in the jungle. And that is because he gets his things on his back that build up and they don't count when you're attacking normal minions. So I'm going to start off with the normal stuff that I start off with. So I'm just going to say this is a build that you can use. This is one that I've been using. You don't have to use this build. There's literally hundreds of items. Well, maybe not hundreds, but there's a ton of items, hundreds of combinations that you can use. And this is just a good one for someone that's trying to figure out good items that are good to use for him. And the items I use, I'll go over why I use them and explain all of that stuff. Just want to let you know, don't get mad if you think that there's a better build for him. You can let me know in the comment section what items you use and I'll look over it. And if I see a better item, maybe I'll make an updated video later. But to start off with, I'm going to go over what his abilities are and kind of explain them a little bit to you, just so you have a general idea if someone's completely new. So this first one, I'm going to be showing his passive ability, which is every time he gets a hit, he gets canisters on his back, which give him attack speed as well as healing. And just note that everything he attacks will give that except for the normal lane minions. They do not add to it. And the next one you just saw was his dash, which is it does a double claw and he hits them. And that one I just use is his E ability, which causes fear, which makes him move away from you, as well as just doing some AoE damage. Using that is really good for if you're trying to get away, and also just good for pushing them towards your allies or maybe into a tower. It could be really good. It's pretty much the same thing as Morn has, except for it's the opposite. Instead of pulling them towards you, it moves them away from you. So I wanted to mention that you can end your E ability early, but it doesn't do it as effective if you don't charge it up. And that was just me showing if you don't charge it up all the way, it only makes them have fear for like a second, maybe half a second. So just bear in mind, you can use it early, but you not necessarily should be doing that. So this next clip is showing his Q ability, which he sniffs out people and then he marks someone and he runs at him at 60% movement speed, as well as if he hits him, he gives him slowness. And this right now is his ultimate, where he picks him up, flies up in the air, and smashes him into the ground. I will say that his ultimate is kind of hard to hit sometimes, especially when you're getting stunned and stuff. You have to be pretty close for it to actually work. But I have found a lot of success with it. If like you're attacking someone and their teammates are coming to try to cut you off from fighting them, it's really good to use to get them, like if you're elevated, you move them up to like a higher ground so that their allies can't get to them. You can lift them up and put them up top, or to push them into a tower. His ultimate's pretty good. It doesn't do like a ton of damage. It's more of like isolating someone from in a fight or something like that. Also, I should have noted with the E ability where it makes them have fear, that is really good for when you're going for Fangtooth, and if you want to try stealing it or someone's coming to steal it, you can use that on them and it pushes them away from it. And also it's about a second and a half where they aren't able to smite it, so that you can get a chance to smite it and either get a Fangtooth for yourself or steal it. Now with that being said, let's talk about what crest you should be getting. So the one I like to get is Ice-Scorn Talons with the Warrior crest, and I like this one because it used to be way broken. It's not as broken anymore, but it puts a circle around you that makes everyone in it that's on your team have 12% physical power for 3 seconds, and that used to be a lot more and a lot longer, but that's been nerfed down. But even with that nerf, it's still really good to have. And I really like it as well, because if you're chasing somebody, it gives them slowness and gives you speed. So it's something to use when you're trying to chase someone down, essentially. And I like it for that reason. Judgment would be really good as well, but I just like the Ice-Scorn. They're not as good as they used to be, like I said before, but they're still pretty good, I think. All right, so the first item that I like to get is Sky Splitter. So there's a couple things that I like about this. Obviously, the physical power is pretty good, but the attack speed and lifesteal are the two things I'm looking for here. Though while it is there, that rendability is actually really good as well, and it's something that's really good to have. But I like to go for the lifesteal and attack speed. And the reason is those canisters on his back, those things are really broken if you can get them all full when you're attacking somebody. And obviously, the faster that you're attacking somebody, the faster you get those, and then it gives you even more attack speed, and then you're healing, and it just makes this unstoppable force. And the lifesteal is really good, and just for everybody, really. So the second item I like to get is Rapture, and this item used to be a lot better as well. It's been nerfed into the ground, but it's still pretty good. It adds a bit of attack damage, but we're also looking for the attack speed and Omnivamp again, but this also adds 300 health, which is really good. I don't necessarily think I'd count him as a tank, but he is pretty tanky. I just feel like when I'm in conflicts with him, I don't really feel super tanky. So That may be just my build. I don't have the greatest tank build. I like to deal out damage, and that's my play style. So maybe if your play style is more of a tank, you might put more tank items on him. But the way I play, he's more of this kind of like Grux, where he can deal out a lot of damage, but he's not necessarily a tank, is how I like to play as him. But anyways, the Rapture's a really good item. Like I said, it used to be amazing. Now it's just kind of like a decent item that I like to get whenever I want attack speed and lifesteal. So it's a pretty good item. Not great anymore, but you should grab it. All right, so the third item I like to get is Tainted Rounds, and the suggested item for him is Tainted Blade, which is this, every character has a tainted item recommended for them. But I like to add Tainted Rounds because it adds attack speed as well as critical chance. But having that critical chance I think is pretty good because none of the other items I have really add critical chance. But with all this attack speed that he gets, I think it's good to add a little bit of critical in there. I think Tainted Blade adds a little bit of health, which I think is good, and ability haste. But we have other items that'll add ability haste, so I'm not really too worried about that. But for those of you who don't know, what tainted items do is they make it so your enemies have reduced healing when you attack them. So this item is critical no matter who you're playing. Everyone on your team should have this item, or not this item specifically, but at least a tainted item in general. And if you've watched my videos before, you know I'm sounding like a broken record saying this, but I feel like that is the number one mistake that people make is they don't grab a tainted item or they get it too late. And when you're facing somebody like Countess or Chimera, those people who focus on lifesteal and healing, it's really important to have this item. And I think a lot of people don't really pay attention to that. Like, for example, Countess is a character that really focuses on lifesteal and healing. And I can tell you that if you don't have this, she's an absolute nightmare to face. But if everybody on your team has this, she's suddenly just kind of useless. And when you're facing those people that just don't feel like they're dying, this is why. It's because they're healing, they're just life stealing, they're using healing items, and you're just not really doing any damage to them because any damage you're dealing to them, they're just healing back. So having that reduced healing is massive when you're fighting people, especially people who focus on that. But anyways, I'll hop off my soapbox and we'll hop into the fourth item. So the fourth item I suggest is called Draconum. And I like this one because it adds physical armor as well as ability haste. The extra abilities it adds is really good too. And that's really what I like about it is if you get kills, it heals you up a little bit as well as doing damage, just kind of has some general healing. It's not lifesteal or anything like that, but any kind of healing that you can get is really good for you. And I know a lot of people are going to disagree with me, but that's the only armor item I really get. And the reason for that is because, like I said, my play styles, I like to deal a lot of damage. I like to kill people, I like to get kills and go for a lot of damage. However, I will say if your team is lacking tanks or your tank is really bad, maybe you should grab a few more tank items. But me personally, these are the items I like, and it really depends on the situation. Like sometimes I'll be struggling at somebody that's magical damage and I'll grab Mist Metal Buckler. It really depends on the situation you're in, what items you get. This is just kind of a guide of items that you can use to get an idea of what you should be looking for when you're building a deck for this character. I say deck, it's technically items, not a deck anymore. All right, fifth item, Basilisk. And this item is really good. I think a lot of people don't really pay attention to it. But the things that we're looking for the most here is the 300 health, the ability haste, and the reducing of physical armor. This item, when you attack somebody, it reduces their physical armor by 4%. Which isn't a lot, but it's something kind of just to add on top of other things that you can do. And I don't have them on this list, but there's a couple of items you can get if you're struggling against like a tank that you can get to reduce their physical armor. But in general, this item should be about all you really need for penetration wise. All right, so the last item for this build that I'm gonna suggest is Augmentation. This item's really good because it adds health, ability haste, and physical power. And it also empowers some of your basic attacks, which with how much attack speed this guy has, empowering your basic hits is actually really big and something that's really good. And having the health is really good as well because like I said, he's not, I wouldn't play him as a tank, but it's also not bad to have as much health as you can get in general. But like I said, if you're struggling against certain characters, and it depends on really who you're facing. Also, who you're facing really depends on the order of items that you get. If you're struggling with a Countess, grab Tainted right off the bat. Hurry and get that in your queue as fast as you can. Or if your team is going to be goofy and they're going to pick random characters in the wrong lanes and you're suddenly the only tank, go ahead and grab more tank items, grab more armor, grab more health. Go ahead and do that. But I like to be able to jump people and just pretty much annihilate them when I'm playing the jungle. But if you're like me and you like to have that kind of play style, these are really good items to have. Or even if you're just playing the tank build, having some of these items would be pretty good as well. Just Hopefully this video kind of gives you some of the ideas, items you should be looking for when you're building like a deck. I know I say deck, but like it's a build for the character. But anyways, that's all I've got for you guys today. So be sure to like the video and subscribe if you haven't yet. We do stream every Monday at 7:30 Mountain Standard Time. So be sure to stop by if you want to hang out, just chill out. Usually I name the stream Chill Vibes Only, so only bring your chill vibes. So be sure to do that, and we'll see you guys next time. Thank you.